Welcome to Nathan Bell's podcast. Like and subscribe, share with your friends. Today, Nathan would like to talk about press and media experience that he has had.
Yes, well, I've been trying to become a successful artist for many years. I started with my Hadron C in 2006, and what I realised is, becoming a successful artist is a funny thing. It's a bit shallow because unfortunately a lot of it is about popularity, especially when you want to be a musician or a fiction writer or anyone who deals in fiction or creative content. It really comes down to building an audience and popularity. So, you've got to build fame around yourself. You've got to become famous, and then you try and monetize your fame and celebrity. So for the last year and a bit, I've been working on building my reputation around Newcastle and Australia as a content creator. I've mostly been focused on my science fiction fantasy novel, Kings of the New Age, The Quest of the Balancing Stones. So last year I had a really good run in the press and media. I had a lot of press and media. I've been in the media over 10 times. So I'm just going to detail some of the press and media I've had over the last year. And I encourage artists, you can't just create content. The most important thing I always say is to create good, engaging content that people like, because nobody's going to get into your crap art. But you can't just create content. You've also got to seek exposure. So a lot of my press and media I've organised myself, but some of my press and media I've had support from reliability staff to organise. And it all started in January last year, around Australia Day. My support worker Ezekiel Ox reached out to someone he knew at the ABC, actually one of the members of Frenzal Rom, and was able to organise one of the members from Frenzal Rom who does drive in Illawarra, and he was able to organise for me to appear on ABC local radio in Newcastle, where I was interviewed by Paul Turton the day after Australia Day, or the day before Australia Day last year. And that interview went for about 10 minutes, and I took my creative writing mentor Robert Burley, who has now passed on, in there with me, and we did an interview with Paul Turton on ABC local Newcastle radio, and that was good. And that was the first press and media that I had last year. Then following that, a journalist from Newcastle Council's What's On blog approached me after I made a series of posts about what I had been doing, selling my books on the street, into the Newcastle Echo Facebook group. I promote in a lot of different community Facebook groups. It's a good way to reach thousands of people. So I posted into the Newcastle Echo community Facebook group, and a journalist from Newcastle Council's What's On blog approached me and said he'd like to do a story on me. So then I told him about reliability, and he came back here to reliability and interviewed me and took some photos, and that was my second media opportunity last year. I was on the What's On blog run by Newcastle Council. I then chased up, there's a small independent newspaper in Newcastle called The Local, so you've got to look for these opportunities. You've got to Google who are the magazines, who are the news outlets. You've got to search for them, then you've got to reach out to them via phone and via email. You've got to be very active. And sometimes you've got to be a bit pushy to convince them that you're worth doing a story on. So I reached out to the guy who owns The Local, which goes out to like 11,000 homes around Newcastle and is in good circulation around Newcastle, The Local. And I emailed him once and he didn't get back to me. And so a month later I emailed him again. Then I called him, and he thought my story about my book and selling my book on the street was interesting. So he did a story on me in his newspaper. And that was good. So that got me some exposure that way. Now, what happened next? After that, I reached out to a few more media outlets. I reached out to the Maitland Mercury, and the Maitland Mercury agreed to do a story on me. Now, the thing about the Maitland Mercury story is it didn't go in the print newspaper. It only went on the Maitland Mercury's website. But that was great to get exposure in a legitimate newspaper. So I was in the Maitland Mercury. And then after that, I reached out to a number of music magazines, and I secured a story about reliability which featured me in Mixdown magazine, which is a popular music magazine. I actually discovered Mixdown magazine magazine while I was busking in Newtown. I saw it sitting on the shelf in a shop, took a photo of it, and then when I got back from busking in Newtown, I contacted them immediately. But again, with the Mixdown magazine, it wasn't in the print issue. I was only on the website, but that's fine. That's good enough exposure because they have enough subscribers. And they did a story on reliability, which I featured in, and the story featured one of my music videos. So that was the next bit of publicity I got. Now, what was next after that? Then I started sending out some more emails to different media outlets, and I pushed NBN to do a story on reliability. And when I contacted NBN initially, NBN News, I told them, reliability is this great creative arts service who support people with mental illness to do creativity and music and art. And initially they ignored me. Then I called them a month later after sending my initial email, and I got through and they said, we're looking at your email. Then I sent through some photos of Reliability's Creative Hub, and they seemed to jump at that. When they saw the photos of the Creative Hub, that's when they came back and said, we'll definitely do a story. And within a week, NBN News was here at Reliability, and they did a story on reliability which featured me, where I was able to talk about my book, Kings of the New Age, The Quest of the Balancing Stone. So that was huge exposure. We did some Googling and realised that NBN reaches nearly 1 million people. Over 1 million people could be potentially watching. And I had a number of people come up to me and say, I saw you on NBN News. Now, the next press and media I got... what was the next one I got? I appeared, I was interviewed on The Green Left, who are a socialist newspaper. I was interviewed on their radio station, and they interviewed me about my book, Kings of the New Age, The Quest of the Balancing Stones, because it's a very socialist political book. So it was up their alley. They're not so much into the mystical, magical stuff that was in the book, but they were into the political stuff that was in the book. So I appeared on the Green Left's radio station with a good interview, and I have support from them. Now, I'm also expecting a book review has been written by the Green Left editor about my book, and a story about me selling on Beaumont Street. So there's going to be a positive book review in the Green Left newspaper, and that will go on the website, and it will go out in the print issue. Now, just recently, this year, I'm just trying to think of all of the press and media I've had. Just recently this year, I contacted the Central Coast radio station, community radio station, Coast FM, because parts of my book take place in the Central Coast, and it features the Gosford hieroglyphs, the famous hieroglyphs that are at Gosford, which is supposed to be a hoax. So Coast FM, the Central Coast Community Radio Station, agreed to interview me, and that happened about a month ago. I appeared on Coast FM, and also further to that, I contacted the Central Coast Community Newspaper, and again I sold it to them by saying parts of my book happen in the Central Coast. So you've got to come up with a pitch, and you've got to make it relevant to the newspaper. You've got to make it relevant to the publication so they're interested in covering you. So I appeared in the Central Coast Community Newspaper with another story talking about how parts of my book take place in the Central Coast, and include the Gosford hieroglyphs. So that was Coast FM radio, and that was Central Coast Community Newspaper. Then I reached out to Central Hunter Community Radio, which operates out of Cessnock, and I told them I'm a local science fiction author. I've written this book. Parts of the book take place in Cessnock because they do. So that's how I sold it to Central Hunter Community Radio, and they had me and the owner of Reliability, Michael Makakadik, come down to their studio at Cessnock and talk about my book and about reliability. And the added bonus of that is we've struck a deal with Central Hunter Community Radio to play clients' music from Reliability. So that's a really exciting achievement. We're going to get some music on the radio as well. So as you can see, I've organised numerous press and media opportunities. There's a couple more. I'm just trying to think what they were. Some of them are evading me. Oh, well, I can't think what the other press and media opportunities were now, but I've been in the media numerous times this year, and this all serves to build my notoriety. See, as an artist, you've got to. It's about every person who you. It's like you're a religious person, you know. These Christians go around and they harass people until they convert them to Christianity. Well, you're not converting someone to a religion. You're converting them to being a fan of your creativity and your art. So you've got to go around and pester people and say, you've got to shove your art in their face constantly shove your art in their face and say, look at my stuff and look at how good the stuff I do is and look at me and I'm an artist, until it clicks in their head, oh, this guy's cool and I like what he creates, and then they become a fan, and then that converts to them becoming a customer who will come back when you release a new product. They'll go, oh, Nathan Bell has brought out a new book, now I'm going to buy that because I'm a fan, right? So you're trying to convert people. So it's like you're one of these religious people who stands in the street. You've got to harass people until they get on board and support what you're doing. And you want to reach as many people as you can. You want to reach thousands of people. So that's some of the press and media that I've had over the last year. It's been a very successful year for me. I'm looking at getting songs on the radio now. I've just reached out to Lake Macquarie Community Radio, and they've agreed to do a story on me. And when I get that interview on Lake Macquarie Community Radio, I intend to see if we can get them to play some of Reliability's clients' music as well. So you've probably heard of me by now. I've become quite the famous man. I haven't converted that to sales yet. It's a real shame. A lot of these stories featured links to buy my book, but I haven't seen any flood of sales. When I got these stories lined up and got those links in the stories, I was hoping to see a flood of online sales. You can purchase my book on Amazon. That hasn't eventuated, but that's the goal, is to sell the book to more people and to build the name of the book and the next book I'm bringing out. So drop a comment in the comment section if you're an artist and if you know anything about organising press and media.